welcome to another episode of the Men in Scoring Position podcast. I'm your resident runner on second, Bill Kyrish, joined as always. He's known around here as the runner on third because he's always about the score. Travis Binns. Travis, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Good. I know it's a little earlier on in the week, but we got some busy schedules. We wanted to knock it out. Guys, if you're just tuning in for the first time, we are the Men in Scoring Position podcast. We're a sports-related podcast. You can find us on any one of our social media platforms, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled Men in Scoring Position. You can find us on Twitter and Snapchat at Men in Scoring POS. You can email us your thoughts, comments, general overall points of view to our email at meninscoringpod@gmail.com. Any fantasy football advice, doesn't know what he's talking about. And then, guys, we're exclusively through YouTube. So if you want to see us, if you want to see Billy's shiny beard, feel free to look us up on YouTube. And, Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, subscribe, and tell a friend.
Tell a plethora.
A cornucopia, if you will.
Right. That being said, guys, it is getting that time. It is close to September, and that means football, baby.
Football. Okay,
we got to talk some football. Oh, music cue's always coming. Sorry, it's just one of those things. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Did you catch preseason week 2?
Yeah. The NFL Network's just been on rotation in my house, just playing all the games.
It's a beautiful time of the year, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I was watching. I was watching the Bears, and I liked a lot of what I saw. I'm telling you what, though, buddy. Like poor Glennon. I don't know if he's ever going to really see the field. Because if Trubisky keeps throwing strikes the way that he is, I mean, he's just facilitating the offense with tremendous upside, which is everything you want in a rookie quarterback. You know, it's just, I guess the thing that I'm really curious about with all of my fickle Bears fans is, and fickle in terms of like short-term memory, not as in loyalty, would be just when he actually does have that first bad game, like how quick they're going to be like, well, let's throw Glennon in there, and it's like, ideally, like, you want the best guy for the job, right? But Glennon, I don't think, is our future. We got him on a one-year rental as of now, unless we want to shell out. And, like, I say you stick Glennon out because we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. You play Glennon as long as you can until he's so bad that you throw Trubisky in. Yeah.
I mean, do you see it where Trubisky takes over midway through the season? Do you think he takes over? Do you think he just sits the entire year?
I don't know.
Glennon stays healthy.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, like, John Fox, like, with Lovie Smith, like, you knew what was going to happen. He's very predictable. He's very, like, Novocaine, just give it time, it always works kind of deal. With John Fox, I don't know if he's like a Pete Carroll where he's going to be easily persuaded and let the best guy compete for the job. I think he wants to, like, facilitate the ball. I know that we're going to be really run-heavy. It's a John Fox offense.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't really know. It could be like week 1 starter Trubisky at this point.
I just think, I mean, it's a guy that only had 1 year of experience in college, and you throw him out there.
He's going to get lit up.
He's going to get lit up, and it's like, I really hope, I mean, I know it won't happen, but I hope a little bit that the Bears fans will take it easy on him because he's not going to be Dak Prescott. Like, I mean, Dak Prescott was such an abnormality playing that well as a rookie. I mean, he's not going to be Andrew Luck's rookie year. He's not going to be even James for 4,000 yards. Like, he's not going to – unfortunately, he doesn't have the talent around him, I think. I think Jordan Howard's good, but, I mean, for receivers and, you know, I just think they're you guys are in a building process,
I think –
I would say –
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Expectation. Yeah. I was just going to say, just, like, take it easy on the kid. Take it easy on Mitchell.
Right. And we will, man. It's not him that we need to take it easy on. It's Glennon. I mean, Glennon's just he's never really been like I just don't know if he's like I said on our last podcast, I just truly in my heart of hearts I believe he's an easy target and Trubisky is, you know, the future and the Bears fans really don't care about things like that. So but I mean there's tremendous upside to this team. We got Jordan Howard coming back. He's you know, our special teams too, like Thompson and some of these guys are running kicks back. And it's pretty exciting, just like everything the Bears are doing. I'm pumped for. I'm not foolishly optimistic, like I think a lot of Bears fans are, or unrealistic, if you will. Like we're not. I mean, if we go 8-8 this year, I'll come everywhere because I don't really think that we're gonna do better than 6 wins, to be honest. But it's progress, and we're doing the right things. Like we're not just like plugging holes and letting the dam. Come down, you know.
You're trying to build through young players. You're not trying to get old veterans. And,
right.
You know, getting rid of the Marshall contract and the Jeffrey contract, and it's trying to move on from there.
Yeah, and it's like you want to just kind of like a clean slate, like a new girlfriend. You you got to start fresh. You got to get rid of all the old baggage. And like you were saying though, I kind of want to like point out, you were saying something earlier about how how the anomalies of like rookie quarterback years.
Yeah.
I feel like they're more prevalent now. I think like Ben Roethlisberger kind of set the bar, and then you have your Russell Wilsons, your Cam Newtons, your Dak Prescotts, even your Nick Foles at a certain point was 7 games.
Sure. I think it's these quarterbacks are coming in a little more pro ready because they've been running a pro style offense in high school or college. But even like I know they went 15-1, but Big Ben was such a facilitator that year. He was a game manager, and he didn't make mistakes, which is what they asked him to. But I remember me and you getting an argument last year during the middle of the season whether or not if Romo came back healthy, should he be the starter? And I said yes because I thought he had the upside because Dak was
nope, that's wrong.
No, I know I'm wrong. But it was like Dak was going for like 180, maybe a touchdown, just like dink and dunk, conservative. And then I remember the week that we argued about it, he went out and threw for 300 yards and like 4 touchdowns. So, I think Dak's rookie year is going to be really hard, like a really high bar to set. You just can't compare the two.
Right, and he also had such tremendous help. I mean, you got one of the best receivers in the game. You got Ezekiel Elliott. So
the O-line, the running back, all that.
The O-line, yeah.
I mean, you look at guys like he's not, but you look at guys like Peyton Manning. His rookie year, he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. It's just it's a learning process, and in this day and age of instant gratification, I think it's going to be. If I were the Bears, I would sit him the entire first year. I wouldn't play him at all.
That's what I want to happen, man.
And then
if
I
you
would come back next year as the start.
Yeah, you say that though, man, and you're going to get eaten a lot. I mean, that would single-handedly, unless Ryan Pace has tough skin, which I believe he does, that will single-handedly cost John Fox his job. Like, people are already saying, like, this is the last year. I'm like, dude, John Fox was signed on for, like, a 5-year rebuild, in my opinion. Like, this isn't an overnight thing.
Yeah. I mean, then again, Jeff Fisher signed an extension and got fired a week later. So
Jesus, dude. I don't think I've ever been more wrong outside of my calling of Rob Marinelli's Lions to do well was when I was like, well, Jeff Fisher's okay. I mean, he's a facilitator. He's an 8-8 coach. I mean, the guy was so bad. And I think Jared Goff is just as bad. I give you props for both of those there. Now, really quick drum roll, please. I want to talk about your Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, man, they're getting a lot of exposure right now. How'd you think they did?
I mean, our first team offense drove the field pretty well. Jameis looked good, looked solid. I think he was 21 of 29 for 190 yards. Doug Martin, ran it in from like the 3 or 4 yard line.
Yeah.
I will say the offense looked decent. It didn't look great. We only ended up scoring 12 points all game, so we won 12-8.
Yeah.
It's a weird score, but I mean, the first team offense looked good. But God damn it, Nick Folk missed an extra point and a field goal, which is just like you gotta be kidding me, man. Like,
well, considering what you guys did with Robert Aguayo, am I saying it right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he squibbed one for us. Did you see it? He was in a dome. Not to go back to the Bears or anything, but this is, for those of you who haven't been like paying attention to the Bucs or like the Hard Knocks, which we'll get to. Robert Aguayo was the second-round draft pick that the Buccaneers traded up. What was it, 2 years ago or last year? Last year to get most accurate kicker in NCAA history. He's great in practice, terrible in the game. The Bucs ended up cutting him. Week 2 or whatever, the second episode of Hard Knocks. Bears pick him up. We throw him into the game in a dome in Arizona, and he was maybe 30 yards out. I can find the exact yardage, but he was right in the middle. He kicks it, and it squibs completely right. And Jesus. I was like, how do you miss that?
Dude, it's like Chuck Knobloch trying to throw the ball from second to first. Like, he's got the yips, man. He can't.
Yeah.
It might be.
Well, done. And we had, again, I said this last podcast, we've had Robbie Gould, so we have a bar, at least at that position.
It's so funny how it's a position that, people don't even consider it even a member of the football team, whatever. Like, that's not a football player, but how often it comes down to
9 points a game,
goal,
yeah.
And when you have, like, just a super, professional kicker like when you guys had Robbie Gould and we had Marcin Gramatica, and it's like,
Yeah.
was
You
he
could say
perfect?
Gould,
No, but
man.
he's good.
You're from Tampa. You can say Gould. We'll allow it. I'm not going to jump down your throat. So you know what? Can I ask you a personal question when it comes down to
Let's do it.
your
Is there
boy?
music for that too, or
Yeah. Oh, you want me to do like something like a serious little. Does that work?
nailed it? Nailed it.
What is going on with? It just seems like everybody's really behind Jameis Winston because he's so talented and first overall. But it seems like he kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, he kind of seems like the big difference maker where he's like subpar, we don't really talk about it. If he's bad, he doesn't talk about it. But if he's really good, we talk about it.
So you're thinking, well,
I haven't seen enough of Jameis Winston to make a conclusion. I like everything about the guy. I like physically, mentally, all of it seems great. But thus far, if you had to give him like a rating, I think maybe at best a B-, B.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not top 10 right now.
No, he's like on the borderline top. I mean, when it comes to fantasy, at least. I mean, if you're doing just like top 10 overall.
Yeah, well, we're not talking fantasy yet, Bill. We're going to do that later.
We'll do that later. So I think maybe what you're seeing then is just because he's in a small market. So if he does good or does something like really cool, they're going to show it. But if he's just okay, they aren't because it's not Chicago or New York. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
But I mean, there's been a lot of times where he just looks average and he kind of just throws the ball up and doesn't seem to care, especially in the first half. I've noticed that, and he kind of rallies in the second half. And he really starts, like the fire and all that stuff. But it's like, not that he puts himself in a hole, but he kind of doesn't really turn up the intensity till the third or fourth quarter. That's what it seems like to me.
Right.
Especially if like a few things don't go his way the first couple drives. But I mean, I think he's at the end of the game. You want him under center, I think, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be a pretty damn good quarterback for 10, 12 years.
And you want that. I'm not wishing any ill will. It's just weird to me. I guess maybe we're just like in an oversaturated elite quarterback league at this point. We're really lucky with like 5 to 10 guys that are longevity, elite, field generals. So, he's got a lot of competition in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the quarterback class this year in general just is so talented, like compared to there's like 12, 15 guys.
Right. Guys, we're going to have to take one quick break. We'll be back shortly. Give me 1 second. And we're back. All right, Bill, as you were saying, we were talking about your beloved famous Jameis. Anus. Anus?
Mm-hmm. Yep, nailed it. All those nicknames.
Famous Anus. Speaking of famous Anus,
yeah.
Bill's over here like... So, no, tell me about Hard Knocks. Obviously, you're a big fan. It's your team.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about this last episode?
I think we went over it a little bit last episode. I think, like I was saying last time, Jameis was going around before the Cincinnati Bengals game and was like telling everyone he had their back and he loved them. I thought that was really, really cool, and it showed like he was a leader and trying to rally the troops. What were your takeaways from it?
I felt it was super corny, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, oh, dude, he wouldn't stop. You were right. It was like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I'm falling in love with Dirk Cotter, and then that undrafted rookie linebacker. I think I texted Joe Dirt, man. That guy's like a fucking Kevin Green, dude. Not even in looks, just like the way he's a nobody. He's out there and he's doing the most cliche thing that you're not supposed to do, like you're talking shit to the opposite team. Now, if they weren't starters, I think it's socially acceptable, but I think that's just kind of the guy he is. I think he uses that as part of his game, and I fucking love it. If you guys end up cutting him, I hope the Bears pick him up or are watching because that guy is awesome.
I'm sure he'll make our practice squad if nothing else.
Right, and it also seems like he's in on the plays too. Like he's not like just out there dancing around. Like he's in on every tackle. He's like, sit the fuck down. I'm like, love this guy. I want to fucking party with him.
I love his parents, especially his mom was like,
You don't
Who's
look like
Joe Dirt? You don't look like Joe Dirt.
You look like Fabio.
Fabio.
Oh, moms. Oh, moms. You know, what would we do without him? My mom right now is going through some hell, just walking around trying to figure everything out. Okay. Yeah, shout out to Jude. Got to give her a little sad violin, man. Oh, speaking of sad, man, my Cubbies, they're up, they're down, they're here, they're there. Which brings me to the next point of topic. I want to talk about the MLB, about hunt for September.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball. I don't have any baseball sound effects. Not right now. There's no.
There we go.
Does that work? Cool. Play ball. Play ball. So yeah, I want to wait. I have an applause. Does this work? No? Oh, God damn it.
It's not baseball related at all.
It's not big. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay. Enough with the sound effects. Let's get to baseball. Hunt for September, late August, if you will. Who are the teams? Obviously, you got LA. You know, they're just beyond dominant this year. Yeah. Stupid, right?
Yeah, I think they're, what are they, 40 games over 500? Or 88 and 40 or something?
Yeah, man.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like there's competition. You know, it's like, you know, it's not like, I don't know. They scare me. Like they really scare me. I feel like if the Cubs can get out of their stupid like little psychic funk, or you know, psyche funk right now that they're in, psychosomatic funk, it's like, you know, if we go up against that team, we're just going to get fucking demolished, man.
They're just such a good, deep team. I mean, they can rotate 4 or 5 outfielders. They can, you know, their bullpen's ridiculous. Their starting pitchers, their third guy, Wood, is like I think has like a 2.5 or 3 ERA. I mean, they got just a solid, young, good team.
Right.
And they have guys like Chase Utley, and they have Adrian Gonzalez, and guys, you know, coming off the bench, and they just, yeah.
You're right. They're extremely deep, and everybody focuses on their pitching staff, which is unreal. But they're hitting, you know, their RBIs, and you know they're making
Bellinger
plays.
Kid is ridiculous. He is so good.
Who's that?
Like him, Bellinger.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger. Where did that kid come from, man?
Yeah, and Seager and Turner.
Corey Seager, yeah, and Nolan Arenado too. Like just the young talent that we have right now in the MLB. It's a new era, and it's fucking awesome, man. Mm-hmm. There's about 10 guys that are young and just awesome. You got the Aaron Judge, Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, you know, all these guys that are taking Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, you know, that are just kind of taking the helm. Another team I think you got to look out for too is Cleveland. Nobody's really talking about them, but they're right there. They're right there, and then.
I mean, they're leading the Central. I think they're a few games up on the Twins, which is shocking. The fact the Twins are in second place in the Central.
Right, that happens though.
That's crazy to me.
Milwaukee Brewers were first for the first half of the season.
So
you know.
What I will say about the Cubs, though, I think so. They're coming off a sweep. They did sweep the Blue Jays this weekend, which was good.
Yeah. Wow.
Slides.
Can I make a little shout out, man? The Toronto Blue Jays fan base fucking travels.
Dude, right? Wasn't that crazy?
Dude, I work in Wrigleyville, and I saw more Blue Jays jerseys, and not like Batistas, right? Like fucking like role players. You know what I mean? And I'm like, where are all my fucking Cubs fans at, dude? It was insane.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most surprising. Like, I'm used to, you know, Reds fans, whatever, you know, Brewers fans, because it's right there, but I did not expect to see that many Blue Jays fans. That was pretty cool.
Dude, it was bizarre. I was all up in there just like, you know what I mean? Did that do it for you, Bill? Are we getting too corny on this podcast?
What I was going to say about the Cubs coming up, too, is I looked at their remaining schedule, and they only have 3 games against a team who's above 500. So they play the Brewers in a 3-game series. But other than that, it's the Pirates, the Braves, the other bad teams.
Right. Well, maybe that's good for them, though, you know? Like, maybe they need a bunch of tune-up games so that they can get their confidence back. Because Lord knows that when it comes to the postseason, they can get it done. They did it even not only last year. I mean, what we did to the St. Louis, who's also scaring me this year, you know, we got it done. But maybe they just need that for their psyche. You know, guys like Happ to see more pitches. Javi is just next level right now with his style of play. Rizzo's hitting home run after home run. I think he just hit the 30 club. Bryant's got to step it up a little bit. And as much as I hate Jason Hayward, that son of a bitch is getting on base. I think we found our leadoff guy with John Jay, whom I'm not crazy about. Zobrist's age is starting to show a little bit, but Alex Avila was a really nice addition because regardless of what you want to think about Montero, not you per se, but our listeners, he did so much for this club, and if you have anything bad to say about him speaking his mind, then you're just a cunt and you don't really understand like what really went down. Was it the best idea to trash the team during the World Series parade? Probably not. Did he have a point? Absolutely. I mean, the guy Grand Slam, NLCS, game-winning run, Game 7 of the World Series, and Jake's had an off year, so I mean, it is what it is. But he's filling the role nicely. Is my waterboard point?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with was it Castillo going down for a little bit? He was hitting home runs. He was on a tear. And then
Castillo? You mean Contreras?
Contreras. Sorry.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras. Yeah. Oh, dude, he was the hottest player in the MLB, in my opinion. I mean, he was hitting home runs, he was making plays, he was throwing outs. I mean, as a catcher, your catcher's not supposed to be like your lead home run guy. You know what I mean? He's just young and a ball player, but you know, we were swinging at everything, and then Happ came out really hot. They kind of figured him out. And Schwarber, what I really love about Schwarber is you never know what you're going to get with him at the plate, but the nice thing is it's discipline. So he might, you know, hit a single in a clutch moment, and I've seen him do it multiple occasions this season, or he can crush a 500-foot bomb. And it's like you just never know what his swing is going to be. But I've seen him be 0-2 and get walked like on more than 5 times.
It's I mean, with Schwarber, it's his OBP has been climbing steadily. I think he's about 300 now. But his batting average is still like pretty low. I think it's 200. But he hit 20 home runs so far.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to lay off the pitches in the dirt, you know, the high fastballs, the things outside the strike zone, because they're figuring out, you know, they figured out kind of how to pitch them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he's still going to hit some home runs, but you know, I think he's like a 250 hitter. I don't know if he's not a 200.
Well, that's his value.
Not Mark Reynolds, you know. He's gonna hit 250.
Yeah, DH, right? That was the big pull on him. It's like, let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of him. Let's get pitching staff. And our pitching staff is so bad. And I just want to know what Rondon has on Madden. I feel like somebody slept with somebody's wife at some point, because the fact that Rondon's never been sent down, to the best of my knowledge, and continues to go out there and blow games, fucking blows. Like, it's awful. Rondon is the best player on anybody else's team. And also Justin Grimm, too. Like, we're really hard up, and I refuse to believe that we're only looking at the 18th season, because our pitching staff is fucking terrible. Like, really, really bad. And Lester's thrown 9... He's drove in 9 runs in the first inning twice this season, and one of only 4 pitchers to give up 10 runs in the first inning.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it's physical, mental, if he's wearing down, but that guy should maybe be a closer at this point. He is not our ace at all. He's too old. He's too injured. He's too mental. I don't know what it is, man, but he sucks. And so does Lackey. Lackey's a fucking bum.
Well, I wouldn't say Lester sucks. I mean, I wouldn't put him as an ace right now, but I think because of the money he's getting paid, he has to be the ace. Lackey has not been pitching very well at all, and I thought he had the bounce back, you know, a couple of years ago with the Cardinals and signed with the Cubs, and he was pretty decent. Yeah. I mean, it's just his fastball isn't breaking. The two-seamer isn't breaking like it was, you know, last year, and his changeups are kind of staying in the zone. So, you know, it happens. Arrieta's pitched a lot better, I think, in the past few months, though.
That's what he does. He goes through his little slump.
And
then he pops back up. Hendricks, fine. I have no problem with Hendricks. He's the professor. I like him.
I mean, there's no one in the Central that really is going to, you know, the Cubs are up, I think, 2.5 games. I'm not really afraid of any of those teams, the Cardinals or the Brewers, going on a tear. You know, I think it's going to be pretty...
Whoa, are you serious? The Cardinals scare the shit out of me.
I mean, they have to scare the shit out of you. They're your biggest rivals, and they always seem to have those weird...
But they just get it done with nobody. Like, Yadier Molina is their best player right now, and he's, 34?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And then, like, Ryan Braun's their best player, and he's, 35? It's insane, man. Like, the NL Central, I don't know, it is weird. But thank God for the Cincinnati Reds. That's all I got to say. Those guys are a consummate at least 8 wins this season, so I'll take that. Oh, man. Okay. Speaking of, I don't know if I really even have a segue for this, to be honest with you. I just feel like we need to just let the song do the work. If for those of you who don't know the Let's Get Ready to Rumble, it's a boxing reference by the great Michael Buffer. And as we know, the 26th, August 26th, we do have a fight coming up, Bill.
A super fight.
The super fight. God, I want to talk about this, man. I know you don't, but I do, man. Got a couple things. It's Mayweather McGregor. Couple fun facts about this, Bill. I actually found this out today. All right. Excuse me, I apologize. Vegas has money on McGregor due to payouts.
Okay.
Because you're going to wait 2 weeks to collect $24. But if you put your money on McGregor and he pulls the upset, you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
2, Rocky Marciano Sr. has a unblemished record of 50-0. Okay. Rocky Marciano Jr. has been quoted saying that this fight shouldn't count win, lose, or draw by Mayweather due to the fact that it is, in his opinion, an exhibition match. And I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's... Of course he's going to say that. It's his dad's legacy. I mean, that's his dad's one claim, or if it's grandfather or dad or whoever, relationship is, that's his one claim to being the best heavyweight boxer of all time, is being 50-0, the only undefeated one. So of course he's going to say that. I would think that if it's sanctioned and it follows the rules of the time, and it is, the amount of rounds it's supposed to be, and all the rules are the same, then it absolutely should count. Even if it is a guy who hasn't technically had a professional boxing match, it's not like he's never fought before.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm in total disagreement with Marciano Jr. I think that when you put yourself on the line and it's sanctioned by Nevada or whoever it's sanctioned by, and it's a technical fight, then that's exactly what it is. It's a fight. You risk, regardless of what you risk. So, I'm in disagreement. I also think that I would do the same thing if I had $100 to spare right now. I would be like, you know what? I'm putting it on McGregor. Just because
of
the
odds are? Do you know if it's like...
I can look that up right now. I imagine they're astronomical.
It's just that obviously the safe bet is Mayweather, and he's just such a good
defensive
boxer and counterpuncher. He just never gets hit with his shoulder rolls, and he's just a different level.
All right, Mayweather is favored to win at negative 400. So if you bet 400, you'll win 100. The odds for McGregor are plus 300. So bet 1, win 3.
Okay.
And that is according to Joe Osborne of Odds Shark.
Okay.
So it's not as astronomical as the Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey fight. I think that was 1,000, plus 1,000 or something like that. So. We definitely missed out on that one. Maybe you could parlay it with something else,
Yeah.
What else is going on?
As far as this fight goes, I think they were talking about, or if they cemented it in there, that it's going to be 8-ounce gloves as opposed to the normal 12.
Yeah. I thought that was a total joke gimmick, and it ended up panning out and going through. I was like, wait, what?
I don't exactly know how much that's going to affect the fight, just because, if Mayweather can dodge a 12-ounce glove, he can dodge an 8-ounce glove or have it roll off the shoulder, and it's just, McGregor might have an advantage if they drop down to the 4-ounce gloves like the MMA fighters do, but with an 8-ounce glove, it's still enough protection where you're not going to hit Mayweather square.
Well, my thought process on it is regardless of the power that Mayweather may or may not have, I find it fascinating that you'd want to box with somebody that is a boxer and take an 8-ounce punch as opposed to a 16-ounce punch, because it's going to be padded, you know what I mean? And McGregor's chin, I don't think, is in question whatsoever. But when you start to get it closer to the knuckle, we're just talking about strictly boxing. I wouldn't want to get hit by a little fuck like Mayweather or a big fuck. You know what I mean? He's a boxer. That's what he does. He only focuses on his fists. And for the record, I hate Mayweather. I think he's a total jackass. I think he's a terrible human being. That being said, I just don't see... I think that Conor McGregor's got to fight super unorthodox in order to somehow pull the upset, just due to the fact that if he tries to go in there and beat Mayweather at his own game when other world-class boxers couldn't, then it just seems like a lose-lose. I think he's got to do kind of like what he did to Eddie Alvarez, just the really weird counter-punching and go at him. But, I mean, I just don't see Mayweather knocking him out with 16-ounce gloves. I could see it happening with 8-ounce gloves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mayweather doesn't really knock guys out anymore. He dances and he dodges and he, glances the blows off his shoulder and all that. I mean, he's going to win by points. I think he's going to. I don't want to talk like such a hot take, but I think Mayweather's going to embarrass him. Like, I think it's going to be if it's a 12-round fight, I think 11-1 rounds or something like that. Like, I think McGregor might win one round.
Really?
If that. But I mean,
so you do think it's going to go the distance?
Yeah, I just don't think Mayweather doesn't really knock people out, and it'd be dumb for him to go for the knockout because that's the McGregor's one chance, I think.
Right, to just kind of slip that counter and
Mm-hmm.
and do what McGregor does. I don't know if I'm the only person that has a tough time like differentiating between the two, but I'm always like McMayweather, McGregor. I don't know what it is. Are you going to be watching the fight? I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be at work, so hopefully we'll have it on there.
Nice.
And I'm sure I'll catch a replay.
Yeah.
Of it. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Mayweather fights are usually kind of boring. So
they're so boring at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
They're so boring.
Him and Hopkins was always the worst.
Yeah,
like,
Hopkins
I have
is
no idea why anyone would pay $50 to have Hopkins headline a pay-per-view.
I mean, you got to be a real nerd, like boxing nerd, to like that. Like, I like really boring shit on TV. Like, I love watching baseball. I love watching the PGA Tour. I love breaking down pitchers' duels. Like, things that normal people are like, this fucking sucks. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? This is awesome. So I get that, but if you're a boxing nerd, like say like a Max Kellerman or any one of those, just be Jewish. I mean, you're gonna love this fight. First anti-Semitic rant on Men and
it's
Scoring
not going to
Position.
be like gone are the days of like Ward Gotti and Castillo and Chavez, and
Jones Jr.
all those. Man, yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
The heyday of those, those guys.
I mean, there's two heavyweights that are fun to watch right now, Anthony Johnson and Deontay Wilder. But in terms of like the boxing world, like knocking people out right now, those are pretty much the only two guys that I'm aware of that are really doing it. Everybody, welterweights just don't do shit for me. I like McGregor because he's a personality, and MMA is different. I think with boxing, it's always been like the heavyweights, right? Like that's always been the stigma, and it's like nobody wants to see like little two shits scrap. I mean, it's like it's cool, it's fun, it's technical, it's sound, but it's like let's throw in some fucking behemoths and let's seriously. I mean, that's just the nature of the game, man, and that's just the nature of humanity. It's like your best against our best. It dates back to the fucking gladiator times. So anywho, that's so who do you got? You got Mayweather in 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a 12-round fight. It might be 10. I should know this, but I think he wins like maybe 11-1 rounds or even sweeps all the rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that being said,
what about you?
Oh, I'm gonna go. If I'm a betting man, I'm going Mayweather. I just fucking hate Mayweather, so I'm going McGregor in 4. But you know what that sound means? That means that we're going to be talking a little NBA, not the Bulls, but there's some buzz going around. Bill, I don't know if you heard this. Your boy,
My boy.
Some call him the King, some call him a little floppy. Some call him a little. Well, you know what? He's got plenty of names. LeBron James has been called out by a LA Times reporter stating that he will not be coming back to the Cleveland Cavaliers and exercise his player option at the end of the 2017-2018 season. I wanted to get your take on this as a huge Miami fan, as a huge LeBron fan. What do you think happens? Is there validity to this? And mind you, LeBron never went on Twitter, never said that's completely untrue. He's actually been quiet throughout this entire process.
Yeah.
So does he, 1, exercise the player option? 2, does he go somewhere? And 3, does the rest of the league follow suit and kind of do the pattern of following him and or creating another super team, if you will?
Yeah. I mean, as far as him opting out, the reason I think why he's silent is because he is thinking about it. I mean, I mean, J.R. Smith's on a bad contract. Kyrie's probably. I mean, he's already said he wants out, so Kyrie's probably done. Kevin Love's on a bad contract. Channing Frye, they have no first-round picks the next couple of years. I mean, they are gonna. If he's gonna win again in Cleveland, he might need to add someone or like take that same team and have them play up to their potential that they had a couple of years ago. So I think he's got to be thinking about leaving at least after next year, if not 2 years from then. Because, I mean, on top of the contract thing, it's just going to be renegotiated every year, and he can just get more and more and more. And with the new CBA, I think he can get, in 2 years, he can sign like a 5-year, $200-something million contract for like a super duper max.
Yeah, like he'll get the largest contract of all time if he wants it.
Yeah.
Or he disperses his income and gets the team together. Okay, so you say that he is going to exercise. He's not going to end his playing days in Cleveland. Where does he go and why?
I mean, I would say I obviously don't know him personally, and I have no take on it. I have no inside information. I would say the fact that he did win the title 2 years ago would be a reason why he could leave Cleveland, because he came back home and he won the title. I mean, obviously the big rumors are L.A. Him going out to the Lakers with Ball and what's his name, Randall and Wiggins and all those guys out there. So that's the latest rumor that I heard was the Lakers.
Yeah, well, with the Lakers and the controversy that's going on with them right now, I would assume that he would probably want to distance himself. Apparently, Magic Johnson did a little like insider trading of the NBA, if you will. He contacted players directly, so they're in a little hot water right now. They might have to surrender some games, surrender some picks, or something like that. But it's not looking too good for them right now. Assuming LA Lakers are out of it. Does he do Clippers? Does he go to Boston? Does he go elsewhere? Does he go back to Miami, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be amazing if he went back to Miami. I don't think he's staying. I don't think he'd stay in the East. I mean, he might do. Yeah, I guess I've heard the Clippers too.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere out there in LA, obviously that area. I mean, it's anyone guess. Maybe plays with. I've heard
Golden State.
Melo.
Not
Golden State.
I don't think it's unfair to say like there could be like 3 or 4 MVPs on a starting 5. I mean, it's whatever, dude. What are you gonna do? These max contracts. Get rid of like Andre Iguodala. I think that's fair. Jesus, could you imagine?
I can't imagine what the media circus is going to be too over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I have a feeling that he will not do another decision. I think that was like it's been stated saying that was one of the worst decisions he ever made. Young guy, I'm even coming around on that. It's time to let it go.
All proceeds went to charity.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. No, I think I don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen. I do think that he's gonna what was the Pied Piper, right? Where the mice follow. I feel like wherever he goes, he's going to bring who he wants to bring. He's going to recruit who he wants to recruit. He's the greatest recruiter of all time. And that's not a knock on him.
Nick Saban, yeah.
Yeah, him and Nick Saban, exactly. It's not a knock on him. It's like, hey, you're my boy, blah, 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 blah. Especially if the super team develops down in Houston. You got Paul George, OKC still to worry about. You got, obviously, the Warriors. Boston, if they get their one really big name. And then you got, like, the Minnesota Timberwolves, which are an upstart superstar team.
I mean, with Wiggins, Butler, and Karl Anthony Towns.
I think everybody in Chicago has, like, a Minnesota, like, bobblehead somewhere right now because that's literally all it is. And then, there's other teams too, like, Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think he goes for geographically pleasing. I think he either ends up in a big market, whether it's Houston, LA, Miami, New York, Boston. I just don't see him like withering away in like fucking San Antonio or some small market team. He's larger than life. I think LA makes the most sense for lifestyle and pleasure, and I think that's why
for brand and like legacy and
Nike. And, he's going to want to do things post whatchamacallit. I don't know if he wants to do the whole Kobe shadow thing. Maybe the Clippers are his new like thing. But we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. It's all speculation at this point. That being said, guys, we do give fantasy football advice, and that's going to lead us to our last and final segment. We are going to talk a little bit about fantasy football, baby. We like to break it down. We like to talk about it. Bill and I have been in a couple leagues together now for what, 3 years running, 4 years?
A while. It feels like a while.
It feels like a while. We never do good in one of them. We usually do good in the other. It's a full-time job. That's what we're here for.
If you're listening, take our advice with the grain of salt. We're doing the best we can, guys. We're not experts.
Okay, so that being said, I think this week we were going to break down the top 10 and why. I think that's what we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the top 10, according to SI, they're pretty standard guys. You got Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Antonio Brown, ODB, Mike Evans, LaShawn McCoy, which I find surprising, Julio Jones, Jordy Nelson, AJ Green, and my man at 10 with Jordan Howard. We're going to break down which, why, and so on and so forth. So, Bill, you get the first overall pick. You're doing it. You're doing your thing. You're getting all excited. You got your little sticker in your hand. You're going up to the board.
Yeah.
Who do you do? Who do you choose and why?
David Johnson.
David Johnson.
Absolutely David Johnson. I mean, I think he broke the scrimmage yard record last year, or yards from scrimmage last year. I mean, he was on a struggling Cardinals team that I think is going to be even better this year. I think they improved their offensive line. I think him and Le'Veon Bell are the best dual threat running backs we have. And it's not like David Johnson is that much better than Le'Veon Bell, or, it wouldn't be.
He did more with less, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think Bell's coming off an injury too. So I would just do David Johnson.
Okay, so David
over
Johnson.
Le'Veon Bell.
And guys, we're also giving advice for PPR. I mean, that's what points per reception. These are two backs that can catch out of the backfield that are really exciting. I'll also have to do the same. I like David Johnson. I like him more than I do like Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon Bell's has a tendency with PEDs, tendency with injuries, and whether that's in the past or in the future, he has a history of it, which makes me wary if I'm going to waste my first round draft pick overall. Although my only knock on this, if you guys are really sold on Le'Veon Bell, my only advice to you would be is I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are an elite franchise, and I believe that they're well coached, as are the Arizona Cardinals, but they have real playmakers that are in their prime, so to speak. So like an Antonio Brown is on the come up, where Larry Fitzgerald, the ageless wonder, I mean, he's got maybe 2-3 seasons left. And this is all just speculation, but again, it's just there's more pieces in play, in my personal opinion, in Pittsburgh than there are in Arizona. That being said, numbers don't lie. Bill called it out. Most yards per scrimmage. Did more with less. That's not debatable. He did. Okay, moving on. We got a couple wide receivers I want to break down. For all you PPR nuts that are going receiver first, we got AB, we got ODB, and we got ME. You like those abbreviations?
That was good. Very good.
So first, if any of you guys didn't see Odell Beckham Jr., he's got a sprain. It's not broken from the preseason.
Oh, yeah, that looked bad at first.
That looked really bad. That was not cool. I was like, holy shit. And then he like,
Are you crying?
No, not really. Then he went down in the tunnel and like there was no medical help. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So it was crazy. But yeah, okay, so you got Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Mike Evans. Who are you choosing and why?
If we're doing wide receivers, I would rank Antonio Brown first. Then I'd put Julio Jones. Then I'd do Mike Evans, then ODB. I just think Marshall cuts into Odell Beckham's receptions this year. I still think he's the number one option, but Marshall has year after year, contract after contract, put up
1,000 yards
numbers, 1,000 yards, 80, 90 catches. Plus, they still have Sterling Shepard in the slot, and they have they draft that Ingram kid out of Ole Miss.
Right.
So I think they have a few more options on offense, and I just don't like Eli Manning as a quarterback. Like, he's not really trustworthy for me. Whereas like Roethlisberger and Brown have such a connection, and like when they're both in the game, I mean, his numbers are ridiculous.
That's true. It is a very like. Yeah, I was going to say there are a lot in the top 10. It is a PPR league. You got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6 out of 10. More than 60% of your top 10 picks are all wide receivers. So you can go with any of them, especially if you're in a 12-person league. Don't get down on yourself. What Billy's about to explain, these are why they're good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a rich wide receiver class, and there are even again elite number ones. I think going into the second round too, and I mean, plus you're leaving off AJ Green and Jordy Nelson too. Like you're going to be good, wide receiver. The real question is if you're drafting the first round, if you're towards the end, the latter half, do you do a running back or do you do one of those wide receivers? And with like running backs, you have the guys that questionable first round. You have Jordan Howard and your Jay Ajayi's and all those guys. So it's like you have to make a decision. You're going to do a wide receiver or a running back. And I think if you can snag, I think Johnson and Bell are just so far ahead of the other running backs that I would take a wide receiver down to Jordy Nelson, those top 7 before I take another running back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm in agreement with you there too. I think running backs, especially, I mean, there's maybe 5 off the top of my head, maybe 5 every down running back that can catch out of the backfield, that can put up the numbers. I just think, especially in PPR leagues, that wide receivers have more value at a certain point. Right? Absolutely. Like they teeter-totter back and forth. You got your elites, and then it's and that's where the skill comes into play, and luck, obviously, with injury. I love Jordan Howard. I watched every single game of him last year. I went to 5 home games out of 8. Wow. And he was, you could basically give the tickets away last year. And he's incredible. He would have been the talk of the town had he started the first 4 games. He's
incredible. He's my best friend.
I call up J-Dubs probably 3 times a week, just to make sure he's good. The guy did so. You want to talk about doing more with less? I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was basically given the keys to a Ferrari, shown not to screw up. And granted, he's got a lot of skill, jumping over, so on and so forth. But Jordan Howard, there's nothing really crazy flashy about what he does. But I mean, you look at his yardage, you look at his touchdowns. I mean, he was 400 yards behind Ezekiel Elliott and 4 games out. I mean, all he had to do was get 100, which was more than was less than what he was averaging. I love Jordan Howard. AJ Green is probably him and JJ Watt are the only 2 jerseys that I would get out of a Bears uniform. I mean, those guys are incredible. I love them both. Jordy Nelson makes me really, really wary just because that injury was so devastating. But then if you sleep on him, he could come back and be the number 1 receiver in the league.
I mean, it just helps that he's got, probably the second best quarterback too. And he has Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. And he likes Jordy Nelson, and he throws him touchdowns when they get to the red zone. So you got to keep Nelson up there. But, yeah, you're right. I think Nelson
it's a risk.
Yeah, it's a slight risk. It's not a risk like he's going to do bad, but it's a risk that he might not be, a top 5, top 6 wide receiver.
Right. You know who really a goal line sniffer, Melvin Gordon. He's going to get you a touchdown a game. The one that's funny to me is Michael Thomas came in at number 12. And I know you like those guys that people aren't really focused on unless they're like super football nerds. What do you think about that? I mean, wide receiver in New Orleans, isn't that very taboo to get?
I always had a thing where I just didn't trust New Orleans wide receivers because Breeze just throws the ball wherever. I think Michael Thomas probably the best talent they've ever had. I think Colson was very, very good, and he was very tall, and he could catch the ball. But I think this is the best wide receiver Drew Brees ever played with. And he's big, and he's strong, and he's fast. And, I mean, if Drew Brees stays healthy, which he has, and that offense is going to be humming, I mean, he may not be at that level of those top 3 or 4 guys, but I think he'll be right underneath it. And there might be some weeks where he doesn't get any catches because Willie Snead goes off or, Alvin Kamara goes off or whatever. But I think he won me the Todd's league last year.
Did he?
Michael Thomas. Yeah, because the last.
Wait, time out. Hold the phone. 32. You won the league last year?
I did.
You beat out Al?
Mm-hmm. I beat up Jesse.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. All right. Props to you. All right, man. Well, guys, you don't know any of those people. At this point, we're just broing out. But we would like to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you've tuned in this whole time, we are the Men in Scoring Position. You can find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled Men in Scoring Position. You can find us on Twitter and Snapchat at Men Scoring POS. Guys, any fantasy football questions, anything like that, please email us at menandscoringpod@gmail.com, and this will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow. Today is August 22nd. We'll have it uploaded the 23rd. Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, subscribe, and tell some friends.
Tell a plethora.
Yay.
Come on. You got to say it.
Oh, a cornucopia, if you will.
All right, guys. We have been in the Men Scoring position. Thank you so much for listening.